I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, March the 26th. On Monday, celebrated No Collusion Day. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. Most all of us on the right side of politics were very happy that our great president, Donald Trump, was exonerated with the release of the Mueller report. Get out of here. You and Kid Rock go over there and be quiet till I get done. But we were sure glad that came back, and if he would have just told us that he hadn't done that, then maybe they wouldn't have had to gone through all that $25 million investigation. But nobody believed him, and it looks like they're not going to take this as the truth either. And the House of Investigators are going to continue to waste more money dragging this and kicking that dead horse until probably 2020 election. But let's look at the board on Monday. April live cattle futures down $2.15 at 127.57. June down $2.37 at 121.12. Your heaviest losses were on your nearbys as the cattle market's kind of fallen out of love with this hog deal a little bit. We'll talk about that here in a minute after I get done talking about feeder cattle. March feeder cattle contracts down 82 cents at 142.17. April down 260 at 146.20, and in turn your farther out feeder cattle were down more than your nearbys, and the ones that saw the biggest gains are the first ones to drop. But we're starting to get a little bit of a blowback on this China hog deal. Yeah, the African swine fever there, it's a bad deal over there. Everybody got real excited about them having so much trouble maintaining their hog herds over there, and they've had some big losses, and they've had to kind of liquidate some of their facilities over there and culled a lot of pigs. But that doesn't immediately mean that the U.S. is going to start sending loads and loads of pork over there. We got some initial reports that maybe they had already made some orders or were in the process of sending some, but there's a lot of other countries that do business with China that we probably got to stand by in line behind. But if it wasn't for Donald Trump, we wouldn't even be thinking about sending anything over there to them. We just continue to take their stuff at no tariffs. But we don't know what's going to happen here until we get, and it's hard to get any real news out of there because it's all state-sponsored news, so we don't really know how bad it is, if and when we're going to see us sending some protein over there, whether it's only going to be pork, whether they'll start taking more beef, or what's going on. But anytime you start trying to benefit from somebody else's misfortune, especially when it comes to health of livestock or even produce or any kind of food products, it's kind of a slippery slope. We heard some reports come out early this week that supposedly they had found a positive hog at Oklahoma City at the Oklahoma Youth Expo for porcine epidemic diarrhea, which is another one of those real bad diseases that can infiltrate a herd and be bad news. We don't really know that much about it. Like I said, I don't want to scare anybody about it. It sure doesn't mean that your pork or beef or any kind of your meat products will be less safe than what they were. But anytime you get an outbreak or something like that, when one of those deals comes down, it gets scary because that stuff can spread like wildfire. I do think that was a terminal show, so nothing from there is going to get spread, but there'll be a lot of work boots thrown in the trash or burned after that to try to keep them out. But it's still not going to get into our closed commercial hog production, because those are just show pigs. And I told you guys on a visit there a time or two before, your independent hog producers are show pig producers, and 99.9% of our pork comes out of these closed facilities that take all kinds of precautions to keep from any disease getting in there and happening what's happening over there in China. But let's look at your fat cattle trade. Our fat cattle market was actually almost $1 better than what we thought it was. That goes to show you how much we really know about what's going on. We've got mandatory price reporting. We've got all this. You packers are supposed to be transparent in what's going on. And here we went all weekend long thinking that the best price we had was $129, maybe some $130 or $131 on a few little small deals of confinement cattle going to regional packers. Well, we get this report that comes out and we find out that in the 5-area feeding region, our live steers averaged $128.96. Now, if they sold all the cattle in the southern plains, Texas and Kansas at $128, how in the world could we average $128.96, $1.82 higher than the previous week's weighted average on live steers? Well, we didn't. A lot of the cattle in the northern plains bring 130 or better, all the way up to 133 in some cases. Your top quality steers listed on mandatory price reporting, your high choice and prime steers. Of course, you don't know that till you get them slaughtered if you're looking at them live. But the best top quality cattle, it goes to show you these packers are going after the best cattle because it's getting grilling time, and those higher quality cuts bring more money. But going after the top quality cattle, the average price in your 5-area feeding region on 80% choice and up was $129.38. In Iowa alone, that same classification had a weighted average of over $130. So there was some $130. You still can't call that the market. It wasn't established. It didn't go up and down through your 5-area feeding region, but better market than what we thought. And I almost thought that when you saw the dressed market, because the dressed market gained a lot more ground than your live market, but 207 to 208 was $3 to $4 higher, but there was a lot of 208. 207.64 in your 5-area feeding region on dressed steers. That was $3.39 higher compared to the previous week. But your packers continue to buy fewer cattle, especially in comparison with a year ago. How they're going to end up with enough supplies, not buying any more cattle than what they are, we don't know, because we don't think there's a significant number of fewer negotiated sellers than a year ago. But last week, 5-area feeding region movement was only 73,800 head compared to 120,100 head the same week a year ago. Nationwide, they only sold 87,100 negotiated cash compared to 135,100 the same week a year ago. But of that 87,100, about 18,600 or 21% of those was for the 15 to 30 day delivery. So we're not thinking that we're getting too much set up. As long as that's under 30%, that's just about consistent with what it normally is. But your fat cattle trade was a little better than what we thought, and there's no reason that we can't get an established market throughout the 5 region of $130, and with all the bullishness, and again that bullishness coming from a lot of people's misfortune in the flooded areas and the death loss that we saw during that, the bad blizzards and the weight loss that we've seen, which adds up to cattle because it's all about tonnage. Let's look about your feeder cattle markets for Monday. Your real-time index on Cattle Market Central late in the day on Monday sitting at 141.49, just about steady with where we ended the week last week, just a few pennies lower. But that goes to show, and we had some higher kind of premium type sales late in the week last week, but that goes to show that your early week high volume sales on a Monday were just as good, and the trend on them was better because they didn't sell them quite that good a week ago. But Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City at 7,200 head. Feeders there steady to $4 higher. Calves only steady to $1 higher, and that goes to show we're getting closer to turnout there, and a lot of guys have already filled up, but there'll be a lot more weekend warriors. There'll be a lot more people for a more traditional turnout outside of those big grazing areas that start at April the 15th. But there's a lot of grass that's going to come that still is under snow or flood waters right now, but they're going to have a ton of grazing in the northern plains this year, and it's going to be a couple months later than what we see in the southern plains grazing areas. But Joplin Regional Stockyard, 7,100 head. Feeders there steady to $3 higher. Calves steady to $5 higher. Steers were mostly $3 to $5 higher. But good market there, and including in there, we don't usually get a big giant stick out sale in Joplin. That's a commodity market. The cattle usually don't sell at the big premiums that I give you. Not that they couldn't, it's just not necessarily the kind of cattle they have there all the time. But look at this quote out of Joplin on Monday. 67 head, 793 pound steers, same as 800 pounds at 147. So that's that's nearly $6 over what your index is, and that is awful good in a big high volume Monday sale there. Look at the little market with the big prices out in Sylvan Grove, Kansas. Sylvan Sales Commission sold 61 steers, weighed 7 1/4 at $157.50. That's an eye opener there. Platte Valley Livestock in Gearing, Nebraska, on western Nebraska there, 61 head, a little steers weighed 483, but that's pretty close to 500 pounds, guys, at $215.50. Wow. And then the top quote that I saw was also in Nebraska. Elgin Livestock Market, Ted Baum and Company in Elgin, Nebraska, 82 headed big steers weighed 869 at $143. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.